Our series begins today in a hospital room with a handsome young man who has a weak heart facing a fatal disease. His name is Jack. A voice in the background tells a story of Sleeping Beauty, who returned to life with a kiss. But this time the story is about the sleeping prince with the weak heart, whose only path to salvation is love. To be more specific, the kiss of life is his way, but unfortunately it's a one-sided kiss. Lynn appears, saying this has always been her favorite story. Suddenly, Jack wakes up and opens his eyes, unable to move from the bed. But as soon as he sees Lynn in front of him, he gains strength and gets up to kiss her, without any introduction. She leaves him to explain what happened that made her meet a strange man who wants to fulfill any wish she desires in exchange for her agreeing to give him a piece of candy every day. We see Lynn entering the hotel, preparing for the competition she's always trained for. At the same time, Jack and his friend Dr. John, along with his right-hand man Young, enter the hotel and arrive at Jack's room, where John warns about his illness and how in less than a year, his weakness has become apparent and his heart can't handle it anymore. He tells him to take better care of himself, but he must attend the meeting so his uncle doesn't steal the company and everything from him because that's what he wants. He's spreading rumors and talking to the press to create a scandal. During this time, Lynn has reached the hall and takes her place. As soon as she arrives, Susan, the main judge of the competition, interacts with her because they were colleagues. Susan had said before that she would travel to study pomegranate juice in France, and she clearly succeeded. Throughout the competition, Susan focuses on Lynn, who can close her eyes and separate each flavor individually, concentrating on the smell to the extent that she imagines herself in a room full of pomegranate juice bottles. She can see the bottle with the eye and pupil symbol, so she opens her eyes and writes the name with confidence, raising her hands. Susan pretends not to be focused on her. Jack and Young arrive at the meeting, and Jack asks Young to present the idea, but his uncle says to him, "My dear Jack, I missed you. You've been traveling for a year to develop the project abroad, which is why I'd like to hear from you, not from Young, to reassure myself." Young and John are standing outside, nervous, but Jack gets up and begins to present the project idea. However, his heart troubles him, and he sits down on the chair. John and Young rush to him, and his uncle pretends to be concerned, saying, "I hope the rumors aren't true that you're sick and will die and leave us." John interrupts him and says, "Don't worry, Jack's health is fine, he's just tired from traveling." They take him and leave, and his uncle is very happy. They have Young dress like Jack and go out with John to divert the journalists, while Jack exits from another place. At this time, Susan goes to congratulate Lynn on winning the competition and speaks in French, which Lynn doesn't understand. Susan's assistant mocks her, saying, "She's not like you. She traveled and speaks French." Susan pretends to be upset and tells her, "Unfortunately, I wanted to help you, but there are no qualifications whatsoever." She leaves and goes to the bathroom, accidentally entering the men's restroom, and keeps encouraging herself. Suddenly, Jack enters and she starts yelling at him. He points to the bathrooms and she realizes she entered the wrong one. As she's about to leave, Jack falls and Lynn tries to help him. She remembers first aid and gives him oxygen, and suddenly it's as if she's giving him strength. Jack wakes up confused about what's happening and keeps looking at her in surprise as she tries to support him to go to the hospital. We return to the first scene we saw at the beginning of the series, with Jack asking her to make a contract that he will fulfill anything she wants in exchange for her agreeing to give him candy every day. Lynn becomes angry and says, "Has harassment reached this level? Shame on you, really," and leaves. He gets up to look for her, but doesn't find her, so he returns to his room. John explains his condition, saying it's a very rare disease that affects 1 in a billion people, and Jack was unlucky. It's a genetic defect that makes a person continue to get younger until the heart can't handle it and dies. Unfortunately, Jack is in the 4th stage, meaning he has very little time left. Young tries to comfort Jack, but he says to John, "Are you done? Sit down before you make me fall asleep from boredom." He asks Jack, "Tell us about this dream knight who saved you with a kiss." Jack says that he felt life returning to him when she gave him CPR, and when he woke up in the hospital, he wanted to try again. He was almost paralyzed, but when he kissed her, his strength returned. John tells him that when he saw the report, It was the first time his condition had been stable like this. They know that in rare cases, almost like fairy tales, there are enzymes in the saliva of certain people that help reverse the process of getting younger, and then the body starts to return to normal again. This girl, by coincidence, has saliva like this. Young gets excited and tells Jack, "My brother, I'll find this girl for you and we'll confirm all this. Don't worry, I won't let you die before you live your whole life and enjoy your youth." At night, Susan goes to Jack in the hospital, and we discover that she's Jack's secretary and is taking care of the hotel so his uncle doesn't take control of it. She reassures Jack that everything is under control. The next day, Lynn is at the store where she works, and she's very skilled, considerate, and kind. The manager keeps thanking and praising her. Someone comes in and says, "I want to buy the most expensive bottle you have." And when he turns to give her the card, it turns out to be Young, who says, "But before anything, are you in a relationship?" The manager is shocked by his strange question, but Lynn tells him that her personal life is separate from her work. Suddenly, she gets a call from her boyfriend and goes to talk to him. She says, "How's your studying going, Kitty?" He tells her that he wants to meet her and introduce her to someone important in his life. She happily thinks that he's finally going to propose to her. The manager is disgusted by this relationship and doesn't approve of it. Lynn goes to wait for her boyfriend, who is younger than her. He enters with a woman his age. Lynn gets up to greet her and says, "I'm happy to meet you, Auntie," which offends the woman, who says, "Auntie, how dare you?" Lynn is surprised and says, "Aren't you his mother too, my aunt?" Her boyfriend gets angry with her and says, "What aunt? This is the love of my life and my fiancé." Lynn is shocked and says, "This woman your age is your fiancé, and I've been with you for 3 years, giving you everything, you old lady lover." The woman is about to hit him when Jack and Young enter and intervene. Young lets them know that he has recorded a video, and if they don't leave and leave her alone, he'll post the video online and expose their love affair in the menopause age. They get scared and leave. Lynn remains upset and drinks a lot of pomegranate juice, telling Jack, "Why is my luck always with younger guys?" She thinks Jack is 19 years old and continues drinking until she passes out. Jack takes her home and accidentally falls on her and kisses her. The next day, Lynn is coming out of her house and is surprised to find Jack, John, and Young in front of her. She says, "What a coincidence. Did you move near us?" "No, no, this must be fate." She continues to thank him for helping her yesterday. Jack realizes that she forgot everything that happened after she kept drinking a lot, and he says to himself, "What a kind girl." The next day they meet by chance. Jack is coughing hard, so she takes him to make him a remedy to drink. He says to himself, "Are you this kind to everyone, Lynn? I think I might fall in love with you." Jack goes to follow up on his condition with John at the hospital, who informs him that the situation is stable and his growth hormones are increasing. But for the situation to stabilize, he needs candy at least once a day. Jack and Young keep thinking about how to solve this issue. The next day, Jack decides to invite Lynn to lunch, under the pretext of thanking her for the cough medicine she made. He tries to tell her that he likes her or wants to be in a relationship with her, but she keeps laughing at him and mocking him, saying, "No, this adolescence period turned out to be really bad." The next day, Jack's younger brother, Song, arrives in China after a very long time and goes to the place he used to frequent. The owner welcomes him warmly and says, "It's really been 10 years, and you've even become the most famous pomegranate juice taster in the world." Song keeps remembering memories he was trying to escape from. At the same time, the secretary comes to Jack to inform him that Song has returned to China and they sent him an invitation, but he refused and is staying at their rival family's hotel. The secretary leaves, and Jack's sister enters to give him medicine and check on his health. She tells him, "If you're not going to get better, let's sell the group, and that's it. It's better for everyone. I feel guilty that I can't take care of you, especially after our parents' death." Jack tells her, "Say this, and also if I die, Song is here." She tells him, "But he went to work with other people." He replies, "It's not a problem. Let him live his life as he wants." At this time, Lynn is attending Song's conference, as he is one of the people she considers a role model. In the corridor, she smells a very sweet grape juice scent, and Song passes by behind her and says, "If you'd like, taste it." Lynn remains doubtful that it's Song, since they all look alike. But then she thinks, if this were Song, why would he leave his own conference? She continues to drink many types of juice and identifies the age and aging location of each one. Song is very impressed with her and says, so you're an expert in this field? She tells him, I will be in the future because I neither studied abroad nor learned French. He offers to help her become an official expert. She asks, how will you help me? But is interrupted by the secretary who says, Song, it's time for your speech. She gets nervous and says, oh, I thought you were someone else since we're in China. He laughs and Lin quickly follows him. Song enters and gives his speech, asking Lin to stand up and choose a type of juice for him. Jack watches them with a smile. After the conference, Lin is very excited and apologizes for not recognizing him. Song tells her that he prefers it this way, so he can be natural and people can interact with him naturally. He tells her that he will send her an invitation to attend his class, but Lin tells him that she hasn't traveled abroad and doesn't know French. Song laughs at her thinking and asks if she likes grape juice. She says, very much. He replies, that's what I needed to hear. Lin feels she's getting closer to her dream. At this time, Tina is at the journal, and we learn that she is a journalist who does many investigations. This time, she has her eyes on Jack and wants to know the reason for his disappearance. She disguises herself as a cleaning lady and tries to enter Jack's office, but she encounters Young, who enters while busy playing. She hides behind a mannequin. Young sees her and says, I didn't see you, just saying. When he finds a recorder with her, he realizes she's a journalist who wants to write about Jack, and he tries to get her out by any means. Tina goes home depressed and looks at Jack's photos. When Lynn sees them, she reacts and says, isn't this our neighbor? She takes the photos to see Jack, who is with John and Young. They tell her that Jack's younger brother was out of the country, which is why they look so much alike, but she's still not convinced. The next day, she wakes up to the sound of Lynn's phone, but doesn't find her and has to answer her grandfather, informing him that her roommate is in the apartment. He asks about Lynn and her boyfriend. She tells him that he's not good and left her for a woman his age. When she returns from work, Tina tells her everything that happened. Of course, her grandfather can't stand this news, so he comes to visit the next day right away and gets to know Tina. He's very happy that her relationship with Lynn is like sisters. The next day, he goes to her workplace and meets her manager. It turns out they were all neighbors in Lynn's village in the past. The grandfather is happy to see him. The manager sees this as a good opportunity to get closer to Lynn and confess his love for her, so he invites them to lunch. When they go, they find that her grandfather has invited someone else too, Huo Yingyi, son of their village mayor. He keeps telling Lynn, my beautiful one, remember when you were little with messy hair and crooked teeth? Throughout the meeting, he embarrasses her, and Lynn wishes the ground would open up and swallow her. Dong doesn't like him either. Lynn sends a message to Tina to come rescue her. After a while, Jack appears in a wonderful cinematic scene, pulls her by the hand and says, how can you go out with another man, you traitor, when you promised me you would be mine alone for the rest of your life? Her grandfather gets angry and stands up saying, what's going on? Who are you, teenager? He replies, I'm Lynn's lover. Her grandfather calms down, following the principle of choose for your son's daughter, not for your son, because he has no one else but her. Jack takes him for a walk, and the whole time John, Young, and Tina are watching them. We learn that Tina is the reason behind this, as she went and asked for Jack's help. Every day, Jack takes them to a new place. Her grandfather asks him to take them to the amusement park, making them ride all the rides, and keeps taking photos of them. At the end of the day, Jack learns that her father and mother died when she was very young, and he raised her. Her wish was to come to this amusement park, but he didn't have the money. Thanks to Jack, her wish has been fulfilled. He tells him that his only wish is to see her happy before he dies, and also that she hasn't fulfilled her dream because she is truly an expert in wine. Jack keeps talking about her and her personality, and her grandfather is very impressed with him. He says, it's true you look young, but your mind is mature and your heart too. Take care of her. When he checks on Lynn, he decides to leave and tells her, Jack is a good person. You're lucky with all the people around you. The next day, there's a problem at Jack's work, and he learns from the secretary that there's been a delay in delivering the batch, which is why the food store owner is not satisfied, and there are many complaints. Jack gets angry and demands that whoever made the mistake be punished regardless of their excuse. At the same time, Lynn is at work when a drunk man comes to argue with her, saying, "I bought this bottle from you 3 days ago, and when I drank it today, I found it was fake." He starts raising his voice and arguing, gathering people around them. She doesn't know how to deal with him and tries to please him in any way. Jack suddenly appears, takes a photo, and sends it to John, saying, "Look into this matter for me." The man gets angry with him and says, "What are you doing?" Jack tells him, "I suspect you're just a blackmailer. If you bought the bottle 3 days ago, why did you drink it today? And why does it look like it's been open for a long time?" The police arrive and we learn that John was the one who called them. The man turns out to be a specialized blackmailer. Jack scolds Lynn for being negligent and gives her his number, so she can call him immediately if any problem occurs. After work, Lynn goes to thank him and tells him that her boss wants to thank him too. Jack tells her that he acted very naturally, but he's annoyed with her for being submissive and degrading her dignity. But Lynn explains to him that all simple people are like this, running all their lives for simple salaries, not for luxury, but just to live an ordinary life. The matter isn't even easy because, in return, they have to give up a small part of their dignity, because the situation isn't like the rich who buy people as they want. His words affect him. The next day, he goes to the meeting and meets with the owner of the supply company that had a problem. The company owner keeps telling him, "We've been dealing together for 15 years. I've never fallen short. Please don't cut off people's livelihood." Jack's uncle comes in and accuses him of negligence, but Jack remembers Lynn's words about poor people, so he gives him a second chance in honor of 15 years of work without a single mistake. Everyone is surprised by his decision. After the meeting, his uncle calls him and says, "What did you do? You've become soft and easy since you came back from abroad." Jack stands up confidently and says, "I'm right for the company, and I'm the one who gives orders. When you call me at work, call me like everyone else. President Jack." He leaves. At the same time, Lynn is in the library with Song, and to thank him for giving her the opportunity to enter the wine tasting exam in his class, she decides to invite him to eat. At the same time, Jack's uncle goes to his sister Jin and tells her what Jack did. He says, "By the way, how is he doing now?" He looked tired. Jin pretends to be surprised and says, "What's wrong with his health?" "He's fine, thank God, strong as a horse. And please, he's very capable of running his business. Don't worry." When he leaves, Susan is surprised that Jack has become lenient and is not the same strict and harsh person. She thinks it might be because his condition is improving and learns that Dr. John has found a new treatment method. At this time, Lin and Song have arrived at the same restaurant that Song knows, but he winks at the restaurant owner not to tell that he knows him. Lin asks him, "How do you feel returning to your homeland?" Song tells her that it's a mixed feeling between bitterness, nostalgia, and reassurance. When the food arrives, she rushes to get grape juice and tells him that although this type is cheap, it's the most suitable type for this food. She keeps telling him that each dish has a type of suitable drink, and Song is very impressed with her, especially when he tastes the juice with the food and feels like he's eating this dish for the first time in his life. When Lin returns to work, Dong informs her that things have gone well, and finally the payment has been deposited. They all decide to celebrate after work. On her way out, she meets Jack and invites him to their celebration. When they arrive, Lin introduces him to her friends as their neighbor. He smiles and tells them he's her lover. Lin keeps laughing nervously and says, "He's just a teenager in high school living youth dreams. Don't take his words seriously." Dong comes to sit next to Lin, pushing Jack out of the way. He tells him, "My dear, don't play with Lin and take advantage of her because she's kind. She's older than you. What you're doing is not appropriate." They play a game called Judgments, where Jack is challenged to give Lin a small peck. As he's about to do it, he remembers Dong's words, so he leaves her and walks away. He goes to Dr. John to check on his health. Young informs him that the situation has started to revert to a more difficult state and that he missed a good opportunity today. Jack realizes that he seems to love her and doesn't want to be just someone who exploits her for his life, especially since she doesn't know. The next day, he's very tired and receives a call, so he goes out quickly, forgetting the food on the stove, and leaves. At this time, Lynn is coming out of the house and smells burning. She rushes to Jack's apartment and finds him unconscious. She turns off the stove, opens the windows, and performs first aid for Jack. He wakes up and they talk. He says to himself, "You're so kind and beautiful, Lynn. I think I've really fallen in love with you." He asks her what she did about becoming a professional wine expert. She tells him about Song's tasting competition and that if she wins, she'll become his student. Jack encourages her and gives her a lot of advice. Lynn also starts to like him. Days pass, and Lynn studies well and takes her first exam. Later, the results show that she passed. Lynn goes to the final competition, and Susan is very upset. Song informs them that there will be two tests, one blind tasting and the other requiring them to bring a juice that represents the feeling of returning home. The first test begins and Lynn takes first place, while Susan takes the last place. Song is very happy with her, and it's clear that he was confident she would reach this level. They learn that the second test will be in 2 days, and they're required to bring a juice that reminds them of home. Lynn is confused the whole time until she remembers what Song said when they had lunch together, and she knows what she'll present to him. On the day of the final exam, they collect the bottles and taste them blindfolded. As the judge is walking by, Susan deliberately bumps into him, causing the glasses to fall. She enters and empties something into Lynn's bottle and walks away. After some time, the results come out and Lynn learns that she lost. Susan is among the group of winners and keeps bullying her and hurting her with words. But Lynn insists on not staying silent and tells her that she's not like her, only caring about the title. Lynn truly wants everyone to enjoy a sweet drink, not just those with money. Lynn goes to work depressed, and a problem occurs that's not her fault, but the branch manager keeps scolding her. She can't take it anymore and submits her resignation. Dong tries to stop her, but she says, "My place is really not here, and I don't want to work in sales." She goes to talk to her grandfather and tells him that she'll return to the village again. The next day, she's emptying the apartment while Jack is sleeping. He wakes up from the noise outside, comes out, and says, "Where are you going?" She tells him, "I'm going back to my grandfather." He's surprised and says, "What about your dream and your job?" He learns that she failed the exam and left her job. He tells the movers to take the things back in, promising to pay them double, and goes to talk to her in his house. He keeps encouraging her and goes to talk to his secretary to hire her at their hotel. Suddenly, Lynn receives a message and is very happy because she's getting a job in such a place. Jack is very happy for her. When Susan learns about this, she gets angry and says to her secretary, "How can they hire someone without consulting me?" She replies that the orders came from senior management and no one can refuse the request. Indeed, Lynn starts working at the hotel and works hard in the place, feeling very happy there. One day she goes to the break room to bring an order from her colleagues and notices a diamond ring placed there. Just as she's about to see whose it is, she's surprised by them taking it to Susan's room with her colleagues. They decide to call the police. Lynn remembers that her colleague had installed a camera in the room because of a mouse. They bring the camera and discover that the secretary is the one who placed the ring. Lynn asks them to call the police, but Susan dismisses the matter because she's the one who agreed with the secretary to drive Lynn away. Time passes, Lynn is tested, passes, and gets promoted. Jack, Young, and Tina celebrate with her. Jack learns from Tina that Susan targeted Lynn and keeps bullying her, especially after her promotion. At night, Lynn goes out and feels that someone is following her. She keeps running away from him and uses pepper spray on his eyes. But it turns out to be Jack who was worried about her after seeing the news that someone was harming people in the public park. She apologizes and waits for him to get eye drops because her eyes were red and she kept going around to pharmacies, but most of them were closed because it was late. Tina and Young went to Jack's house because Lynn was late and they were looking for her. At that time, Lynn's phone died and she was being philosophical about it while everyone was worried and couldn't wait. So they went looking for her. During this time, the harasser was chasing Lynn, who wasn't paying attention to the elevator opening, and fell into it. The harasser saw her and walked away while she kept calling out and screaming. She told herself that if she got out alive, she would confess her love to him, regardless of his age. It doesn't matter. She wouldn't waste another moment not being with him. She kept shouting until Jackie managed to reach her and tried to get her out. but because he was tired, he fell with her. He asked her to give him raisins, so she did, and they got out together. Suddenly, Tina and Young appeared, who were also able to catch the harasser. The next day, Lynn was in the hospital because her legs were sprained, and she kept trying to practice how she would confess her love to Jack. John, Young, and Tina came and overheard her saying that she had loved him from the first time she saw him. Suddenly, Jack entered and asked them why they were standing like that. Lynn turned and looked behind her to find them all standing there. Afterward, they checked on her, and Young, Jack, and John went to talk about their relationship now. Then Jack's sister came, and they left them alone. She told him that Dr. Young told her about the raisin issue, so Jack admitted to her that he really loves Lynn, and she loves him too. The matter wasn't just about her having his medicine. She told him she doesn't have a problem with it as long as he's okay, and she urged him not to tell her anything about his illness now because they are still at the beginning of their relationship, and if anyone knew, it would be a problem. Lynn went back to the hotel after she got better, and they learned about the monthly exclusion system due to evaluations. Her colleagues were afraid of this issue, so Lynn reassured them and told them she found a way to pass these evaluation interviews. She explained the idea to them. Sinan was standing and listening to everything, and when the meeting came, she said that someone was talking about bypassing the exclusion system, and if they didn't say who it was, they would be fired with them. Lynn's colleagues were about to speak up at the bar, but Lynn stood up and said that she was the one who suggested the idea because it was an unfair system that made employees not put in their best effort due to their constant fear of being fired at any time. So why should they tire themselves? She and Sinan argued while Jack's uncle was sitting with his secretary, and they decided to inform the management about the issue, and she would respond to them. Indeed, the company conducted research and found that this system causes more harm than good, so they decided to cancel it. This angered Sinan, and Jack's uncle tried to play on this point and win her to his side, but she was still attached to Jack, not to the company. At night, Lynn prepared for Jack, who invited her to dinner. She wanted to order from the restaurant she likes to take with her, and she accidentally met Song, who was happy as soon as he saw her. He told her that he comes here every day hoping to see her with no luck. Song was upset because she didn't attend the competition, but she pretended that she did attend and remembered all his words and prepared an appropriate juice based on that and kept explaining to him the ingredients of the juice and its feeling. Song was surprised because he hadn't tasted anything like this in the competition and asked her to taste it. She was a bit late and went with Song, letting him taste her juice. He told her it was very suitable for the idea of returning to the homeland and would have taken first place, but he doesn't remember tasting anything like this in the competition, though he remembers there was a juice with a similar smell. They decided to do a test because Song suspected that someone put something in Lynn's juice that changed its taste. Indeed, after several attempts, they discovered what was added that changed the taste. Lynn wondered why someone would do this, and Song told her that she needs to think carefully about who is targeting her, but Lynn refused to say without being sure. Song was very upset because she couldn't enter the class, so he suggested she become his assistant. Song invited her to have dinner together to celebrate this good occasion, but Lynn apologized and told him that she was going out with her boyfriend and told him that he's the youngest son of the famous Ron family who recently returned to the country. Song was shocked because she was talking about him and understood that Jack was impersonating him. He told her, "Well, tell your boyfriend that we met and that I send my greetings because we know each other very well from long ago." She promised to deliver his message, and when she went to Jack, he was upset because she was late. But she told him, "I have good news for you that will make you forgive me." And she told him about what happened when she met Song and that he knows him and sends his greetings. Jack became tense and pulled Lynn by her arm, asking her to promise that whatever happens in the future, she will always love him and not leave him no matter what. Lynn was confused and didn't understand what was going on, but she agreed because she really loves him. The next day, Song went to Jack and threatened that if he didn't confess to Lynn, his end would be bad. Song's teaching sessions began, and Lynn became his assistant. After the lesson, Sinan mocked her, but finally Lynn put her in her place and told her that she knew everything, but didn't want to tell Song, because if it happened, Sinan's reputation would be bad in the entire community, and no one would accept working with her again. One day, Jack went to meet Lynn and brought her a gift. It turned out to be very high heels but comfortable because he knows she walks a lot and gets tired. He also told her that Song would hold a conference in 2 days at their hotel, and she would surely be by his side since she's his assistant. And he asked her to wear them so she would be comfortable and look good and appropriate for the meeting. Lin was very happy and pleased that he cared about all the details. When the conference date came, Song met Lin in the hall and also brought very high heels, telling her that he likes to appreciate those who work with him. When she went to the conference venue, she was wearing the shoes that Jack brought her, not Song's. Song asked her why she didn't wear his gift, and she pointed to the heel. He told her it's not a problem, but to wear them a little later because she would go up on stage with him as his assistant. And of course, her appearance and look are important because she's the assistant of the most famous expert in France and China. She couldn't believe that she would be with him in front of all that audience as his right hand. After the conference, Lin met Jack, who as soon as he saw her, sat her on a chair and checked her feet because they were swollen, and he was upset with her for wearing something uncomfortable. She tried to calm him down and told him it was a gift from Song for her to wear for work in the show. Nothing more, Song interrupted and coldly went to Jack saying, "How are you, my older brother? How are you doing?" She was shocked and said, "Your brother and your older brother? How is that when you look older than him?" Song laughed at her and told her that Jack assumed his identity to play with her, and that's his nature, and not to listen to him because he will definitely keep lying to her again. At that time, their sister arrived and yelled at Song for his horrible attitude with his family, and that there was no need for all that he was doing with Jack. He ignored her and told Lin, "They are a group of liars who will keep deceiving you with their lies," and pulled her hand, and they left. Lin was in a state of shock, not understanding anything. Lin went with Song to the restaurant where he kept drinking a lot of pomegranate juice and convinced Lin of his love and that he was ready to leave everything here and go. But Lin told him that she loves Jack and wants to hear him out. Song got angry that everyone is always on Jack's side and that he gets everything he wants. Lin returned home to find Jack and Young standing in front of the apartment waiting for her. She entered without listening to them, and Lin came out to their voices as she asked them to sit down so she could understand exactly what happened. Young explained that they didn't mean to lie to her, but Jack has a disease that makes him look younger in age, and they didn't want the press to know about this or the company and employees because Jack has enemies who could take the company from him and exploit his illness for that. Of course, Tina works as a journalist, and if she knew all this, she would publish the news. But Jack and Lin fell in love, and Jack wanted to tell Lin all the time, but was afraid to lose her when she learned the truth. Tina told Lin that indeed this issue of company enemies is big, and if the press had known, it would have been a very big crisis for the Ron family and their chain. Of course, Lin's heart softened, and all she cared about was her beloved's health. Jack tried to explain to her what was happening to him, but Young prevented him. Indeed, Jack and Lin reconciled and went to work together holding hands, and everyone knew. Sinan saw them and was very jealous, so she went to Jack and told him that Lin is of poor origin and not good, and kept talking badly about her. But Jack stopped her and told her that this is his personal life and no one should interfere in it. Nor should anyone dare to say half a word about his future wife. She went to his uncle, who tried to exploit the situation and turn her against Jack. But she refused and told him that her loyalty to Jack won't change because they tested her like Lin. One day, all department heads were in a meeting with Jin, and her uncle asked her if there was something wrong with Jack's health. His absence had become frequent, and rumors were increasing. He winked at someone he had an agreement with, who stood up and suggested that they should look for a new group president. He was about to nominate Jack's uncle when Jack entered surprisingly and said, "Did I miss something?" Jin was embarrassed and told him, "No, nothing. Your uncle is just worried about your health." And of course, this put his uncle in a very embarrassing situation, both him and the one he had an agreement with. In front of the hotel the next day, Jin and her uncle were standing to receive an important person coming, and Nana, the daughter of the owner of their competing company, appeared. But when she got down, she ran to hug Tina, and we learned that even though they're in the same field, there's great love and brotherhood between them, and there might also be cooperation soon between the two companies. This, of course, greatly bothered her Uncle Dong, who felt that his chance in the administration presidency was decreasing in front of Jack and Tina. They went to sit with her, and Dong tried to get close to her in any way. But it was apparent that she doesn't listen to anyone other than Jin, and throughout the meeting kept asking about Jack. The secretary told Dong that it seems the issue of getting Nan on our side is difficult because she's almost completely under Jin's control. At that time, Lin had arrived at the hotel, and Sinan called out to her and said, "I really feel sorry for you, Lin. You didn't even get to enjoy your time with Jack." And Lin didn't understand what she meant, but later she understood that Sinan was teasing her about Nana, who returned from abroad, and everyone knows how spoiled Jack and Lin are. There were plans for marriage and merging the two companies for a long time. Sinan leaves and walks away happy that she upset her. After work, Lin goes to buy juice and accidentally meets Nana without knowing who she is. She finds the seller trying to give her peach juice at a much higher price than its value. So Lin stops her because she knows the original price and tells her, "Leave it. I know another place cheaper than this." The seller gets nervous and says, Okay, I'll give you a discount." Nana is happy and insists on giving one of the bottles as a gift to Lin because she didn't let the seller cheat her. Lin takes her in return to her favorite grill place, and Nana is very impressed with Lin's taste and experience in juice. Lin tells her that her life's dream is to make her own special juice, and the two keep encouraging each other. Each one talks about her beloved, not knowing they're talking about the same person. The next day, Nana is with Jin in the lounge, and Jin tells her that Jack is engaged. And because she loves her, she tells her the truth. Nana gets upset but promises Jin that she won't make it hard for Jack. At night, Jack goes to Lin, who called him because the electricity was cut and she can't stay alone in the apartment because Sina isn't there. He takes her and they go to his apartment, but he finds that the password has also changed and he can't get in. When he calls Young, he tells him that he's the one who cut the electricity and changed the password so that Jack could use it as an excuse to make Lin go live with him in his villa. Indeed, they go to Jack's villa, and Lin is very impressed with it. Jack tells her that the apartment was nicer because they were neighbors, and now they're together in any place where she is, it's nicer. He tells her she's the first girl he's brought to their house and the last because he really wants to marry her. She loves that she finally found someone who compensates her for all that she missed in her life. At that time, Nana is with Song at her family's hotel, and we learn that they are also close to each other because they all grew up together. She keeps begging him to make dinner for the whole family so they can gather together again. So Song says to her, "You want to use me so Jack comes." Nana keeps begging him until he agrees, and indeed he calls Jack, who agrees. He tells her to count on his girlfriend because he'll bring her with him, and Song is listening to all of this and keeps laughing at her. Nana gets annoyed and says to Song, "Why is Jack taking this matter so seriously with her?" And even Jin agrees. Song tells her, "Honestly, Lin is a very beautiful and cultured girl. She has good experience in juice, and I believe she will be great in this field." Nana gets annoyed and says to him, "Even you?" Then she's quiet for a while and says to him, "Wait, why do I feel that you also like her?" Song tries to deny her words, but Nana understands him well and says to him, "Don't worry, I know you since we were kids. You always want to take everything from Jack." He looked at her coldly and said to her, "And you always want to use me in your plans. Don't try." The next day it's dinner time, and Jin arrives first. Nana greets her and asks about Jack. Jin teases her and says to her, "Don't you love any one of us except Jack?" At the time Song enters, Jin says to him, "What are you doing here?" Nana defends him that she's the one who invited him because he's part of her family. Jack and Lin arrive, and Nana greets them. Lin philosophizes and Jin says to them, "Have you met before?" They tell her what happened in the juice shop. Nana takes his gift happily and says to him, "You always bring me nice gifts." And when she opens it, she's very happy because he knows what she likes. Jack says to her, "Of course I must know what you like. We've been together since we were young, and you're like Jin. I know what you like and what you hate." Nana gets upset because he insists on making her like his sister. Jack tells her that he didn't choose the gift alone, because Lin is the one who basically chose it all, and it's her taste. Nana spends the entire dinner trying to make Lin jealous, but Jack keeps treating her with love and tells Nana that tomorrow when she gets engaged, she'll find someone who treats her like this and better. The atmosphere remains tense. So Lin says and suggests they drink a toast between her and Jin. The next day, the situation is tense at the hotel, and Sinan is on edge. Lin asks her what's wrong, and her colleague tells her that a famous YouTuber and juice tasting is coming to them today and will rate the hotel. Her word is heard everywhere. Lin goes to take her opinion on the drink she might offer her, and she's very friendly with her. Sinan decides to serve her herself and take the shot. When she gives her the juice, the YouTuber asks about Lin, so Sinan says to her, "She's just a waitress. I'm the service manager here. I'm serving you the juice myself." The YouTuber tastes it and says to them, "Okay, let's film and give the rating." Sinan asks to take a picture with her, which really bothers the YouTuber, but she takes the picture. Then she gives a very bad rating to the hotel and says that she was coming and very excited because of the hotel's famous reputation, especially since they make the juice themselves, but they disappointed her. Sinan gets angry, turns off the camera and yells at her, saying, "Why are you doing this? Are you coming to prove something, or what are you coming to do? Look, do you want money or what?" The YouTuber gets upset and says to her, "Are you questioning my integrity? Believe me, I will make you lose for real." Dong arrives and asks to understand from the YouTuber what's going on. She tastes the juice and feels there's something strange but very subtle. The YouTuber is amazed by her talent and says to her, "Bravo to you. Indeed, not everyone in power is talented." She promises that if she discovers what the problem is, she'll change her rating. Dong tells her if she doesn't discover the problem, he'll fire her. Lin agrees because she's confident in herself and keeps searching until she discovers the reason. She goes to tell them that in summer they freeze the pouring tools to cool the juice, and that's what happened. The tools were in the kitchen refrigerator where there were eggs, and unfortunately, they picked up the smell of eggs. She makes her colleague apologize because this issue happened because of him, but of course the smell is very light, and an ordinary person wouldn't be able to distinguish it. But because the YouTuber is distinguished and has talent, she was able to discover this. She likes her words and keeps praising her, wondering how someone talented like her is just a waiter. She offers to make a new live stream and not only raise the rating, but also thank Lin in it. She takes Dong and Sinan out and asks them how someone like her is a waiter. Dong gets nervous and has to tell the YouTuber that Lin was under training, nothing more. And because she proved her worth, he'll promote her to service management with Sinan. Sinan is very choked by everything that's happening and the humiliation she's experiencing because of Lin. Lin returns home depressed and philosophical, and he was supposed to still have a week left, but he's back to come to her. He promises her that the truth will come out and keeps comforting her. She feels safe because he's beside her and will get her rights. The next day, he goes to the company and conducts his investigations. He goes to Jin and tells her that he suspects someone from the company is conspiring against them. She tells him that she also suspects this issue and that it's natural to happen with Lin because she's still young. But Jack tells her that this happened because he couldn't protect her well. At that time, Sinan goes to Dong's office and argues with him, saying, "The plan was for us to fire Lin, not to harm the reputation of the group in the hotel." He coldly tells her, "I didn't do this." The issue got out of control. She tells him from the beginning that he wants to harm the group to take Jack's place. She leaves angrily because she helped him with something like this. The next day, Jack and Young are in the office, and the secretary comes running and tells them that they found evidence. Jack goes out with him, and they go to the hospital to see the patient who's informing on them. They find all the reports are good, so the man gets nervous. The secretary gives him a check, and Jack tells him that this is a small gift in exchange for helping him uncover the truth without harming him. The man tells them everything, and Jack goes to scold Sinan because the man confessed everything about her. She admits that she did all this because of jealousy, but she didn't know that things would reach this point. What got her to this point was Dong, even though he promised her that the issue would stop at just firing Lin from work. She learns that she also has a recording of all the agreements between them. Jack takes the recordings and agrees with Jin that Dong must leave work now because the issue has become bigger than him, and they will also suspend Sinan from work and then fire her. Jin tells him that all that Sinan is going through is because of her family, which brought her to this psychologically disturbed state. Jin goes to provoke her uncle and reveals the truth to him one by one. He gets nervous and says to her, "What do you want to say?" She takes out the recording and says to him, "You have two options. Either resign or I'll submit this recording to the police. We're still family, but patience has limits." Jack enters and tells him that on behalf of the board of directors, he has been fired and banned from the entire group. Everyone who has profit-sharing percentages every year found out. Waleed's father learned that the whole scheme was to reduce the company's shares, as there was a secret buyer for the group. After work, Jack is at home preparing food when she returns. She smiles and asks if they're having a celebration. He tells her everything that happened and that the truth has come out. The press discovered that this whole incident was orchestrated. They also reviewed the background of the agent and the factory manufacturing the drink and found their reputation was good and everyone knows them, so they will continue working with them. She was happy that her innocence was proven, and they also signed a contract with her agent. They go to the resort to celebrate, but their happiness doesn't last. They receive news that the photo Lynn had sent to Jack was leaked, and everyone is talking about them, causing a huge scandal. Jack and Lynn quickly return to the company to find out what happened. Jack asks Lynn to wait downstairs until he finishes. He goes up to the meeting where Jin says they'll claim the photo as fake and blame Lynn. Jack is shocked and goes with her to the office, trying to explain that she's not like Sinan and would never do this. But Jin isn't convinced. Jin tells him that Lynn must be jealous of Nana, which is why she leaked the photo to keep Jack to herself. At that moment, Nana calls and Jin informs her that she'll have her father take action to find out who did this. Jin tells Jack, "Now we're indebted to Nana's family twice because of your girlfriend. The drink issue wasn't enough. Now this photo too. She's still a reckless teenager." But Jack isn't convinced and asks her to postpone the dismissal and statement until the truth comes out. Lynn goes out for a walk until Jack finishes. She encounters Sinan, who gloats at her situation, saying, "I wondered how you got to Jack and received those quick promotions at work." Now everything is clear. Lynn asks what will happen now. Lynn tells her dejectedly, "What's between me and Jack stays between me and Jack. It's none of your business. You're just jealous." Sinan coldly replies, "Jealous, yes, but not cheap like you." She leaves Lynn, who collapses to the ground, breaking down and saying, "I didn't do this." Later that night, Young visits Jack and says, "You believe me, right?" "I didn't do this." He responds, "I believe you, but how did we get here? Didn't I tell you not to send the photo to anyone?" She says, "Then you don't really believe me," and speaks to him formally before running out crying. Jack remembers Jin's words that the best thing they could do now is to end their relationship. Lynn returns to her apartment with Tina, remaining devastated the whole time. When she goes out to buy a drink and returns, she finds the electricity cut off and realizes she forgot her key. She sits outside the apartment, and at that moment Song arrives because he's worried about her. He asks why she's sitting outside, and she explains she forgot her phone in the apartment. He's surprised she's alone without Jack. He takes her to a cafe as the sun is about to rise and tries to comfort her. He reveals that he was always a top student and wanted to get his parents' attention, but they were only interested in his older brother. Even when he achieved first place or made progress, they didn't care because they were always busy with Jack. He tells her that's life. Sometimes you get hurt without doing anything wrong. She tells him she submitted her resignation and is truly hurt. He supports her and lets her know he's always there for her. After making her decision, she goes to Jack's villa to collect all her clothes. As she's leaving, she sends him a message informing him she's leaving him. He rushes home and keeps knocking on her door. Tina tells him that Lynn wants to be alone, and if he truly loves her, he should find who leaked the photo and prove her innocence. Young manages to discover everything and proves that Sinan was guilty. She had entered Lynn's office, taken the photo from her phone, and leaked it after being fired because of her issue with Dong. Jin summons Sinan and informs her of everything that happened, telling her she lost her last chance. Sinan falls to her knees begging Jin, who ignores her. Jin instructs her secretary to finalize all of Sinan's papers from the hotel permanently. Jack goes to see Lynn and tells her he solved the problem and what Sinan did. She responds, "But she's right. She said I don't deserve you. I think she's right. Congratulations to you and Nana. At least Nana is from your social class and can solve your problems." Jack tries to justify his position, but Lynn refuses to listen. She tells him she's tired and can't continue, then walks away, leaving him heartbroken. Tina meets with Young and tells him that Lynn accepted Song's offer to work with him and create her own drink. Young gets nervous, saying, "Song is cunning. This will get complicated for real." He runs to inform Jack, but Jack says, "What matters is that she's happy." Days pass and Lynn works with Song. Things go well, but at the same time, Jack's health deteriorates. John asks him to get Lynn back because his condition is dangerous. Jack replies, "If I bring her back because she contains my cure, then I don't deserve her. I truly love her, but she's happy now and seeing her life. I can't ruin that." Song and Lynn's product is announced and Lynn is very happy. Song knew they would succeed, but wonders if he's now better than Jack. Lynn tells him that each of them specializes in something, and it's not about who's better. What matters is doing what you love and succeeding at it. Also, they're family and there shouldn't be comparisons within family. He tells her he hasn't considered them family since the accident when Jin saved Jack and left him in the car watching their father die. Lynn understands why he hates his family so much, but tells him there must have been a reason behind what happened, and Jin must have had her reasons. Meanwhile, Jack is at home feeling extremely sick. John comes and examines him, discovering his condition is very critical. Young gets angry with Jack, saying, "You're the cause," and remains upset with him. He goes to Tina and Lynn and shows them everything Jack did for her, that Sinan has disappeared from their lives and won't appear again. He explains he's been Jack's friend since they were young, and Jack has never done such things for anyone else. But since Lynn entered his life, for every step she takes toward him, he takes 100 steps toward her. As Young leaves, Lynn meets him, and he tells her Jack's condition is very bad. She enters and asks, "Why are you doing this?" Jack tells her it's just exhaustion. She tells him to rest and that she'll make him herbs good for his health. When she finishes, she finds him asleep, looking very tired and pale. She says, "I thought when I left your life, you'd be fine. Why are you like this now?" She decides to gather Tina, John, and Young to prepare a surprise for Jack to reconcile and get back together. She prepares the surprise and takes Jack to the place they prepared. They reconcile and she signals to Young to turn on the electricity, but there's a loose wire that shocks him and Jack. Tina kicks them away from the electricity and scolds him. He tells her, the important thing is that they reconciled, and Lynn gave him raisins, so everything is fine. She responds, "If not for the result, I would have killed you. Believe me." The next day, she takes her things to return to Jack's house. Jack goes to Jin to tell her he got back with Lynn, and this time he wants to take it seriously. So he's decided to propose and marry her. He asks for her blessing. Jin is shocked and clearly disapproves. Lynn continues working with Song, and they're finalizing the final versions to launch in the market. Lynn is very confused. Song tells her she needs to trust herself. At that moment, Jack arrives and has Lynn sit down to have lunch with him. Song appears upset. After Jack leaves, Lynn takes the versions she settled onto Song. Jack gets upset that she modified them to make them more alcoholic and tells her, "Please go back to the old version. We offer something sophisticated, not common." Lynn becomes very depressed and goes to ask Jack's opinion. He's surprised she changed her plan again and tells her she needs to follow her heart. She had said she wanted to make a drink that anyone could buy and eat with barbecue as she likes because the drink reflects its creator, not just a machine. She gets encouraged to stick to her opinion and manages to convince Song. The new products are launched and gain popularity and great acceptance. But Song's drink sells slowly on social media. She decides to do a live stream with Tina, like famous YouTubers. People start joining the stream and placing orders. Jack goes to support them and also asks Song for a drink deal for his hotel. But when he arrives, he finds Song scolding Lynn about her method because he doesn't agree with presenting his sophisticated products this way. Jack tells him, "Let me prove to you that this is what works now and is widely recognized. It has great importance in marketing." He joins the stream with Tina and Lynn and talks about how he feels love when drinking Lynn's peach drink and that these products are sophisticated. Indeed, the stream and orders increase. The next day, Song's secretary informs him that because of Lynn's stream, they were able to achieve very large profits, and websites are asking to become agents for their product. Song feels he wronged Lynn yesterday and that holding on to old thinking won't get him anywhere. He decides to throw a party for this occasion and present Lynn as his student and partner in their first production line together. At the party, Lynn is very happy. The secretary tells her that the modifications she put before the product was launched changed the taste. Lynn is surprised because she didn't put anything. She goes to taste the drink and finds it different from what she last presented to Song. When she confronts him, he tells her that he took the old version and made a simple modification because he saw what was best for him. She gets very upset and tells him she wanted to express herself, not someone else, and that he should have accepted her as she is. The secretary interrupts them and informs Song that someone wants to meet him. Song excuses himself and leaves. Lynn gets so upset that the bottle falls from her hand and breaks. After the party, she goes to resign from working with Song. He says, "Please try to calm down. Before you think or say anything, let me invite you to dinner first and talk a bit." They go up to the roof where he finally confesses his love to her. At that moment, Jack arrives at the party and asks about Lynn. The secretary tells him they're on the roof. Song is trying to convince Lynn not to leave, saying he loves her and can give her anything Jack gives her. Lynn tells him, "You don't love me. You just want to take anything from Jack, and you mentioned this before." At that moment, Jack arrives and takes Lynn to leave. Song says to him, "What do you think about playing basketball like old times?" Jack agrees, but Song says, "But we'll make a bet." When Jack asks about the bet, Song says, "The winner gets to kiss Lynn." Jack gets angry and punches him, telling him that his love is not subject to betting, nor part of the war or resentment between them. Before they leave, Lynn says to Song, "I love and respect you because you're my teacher and role model, and in your heart, there's someone kind and pure like a superhero. Don't let your hatred and sadness from the past control you." The next day, she and Jack go to submit her resignation to Song, but they're interrupted by the secretary who informs them that their partner sold all his shares to Jin, Jack's sister. He gets angry and goes to her company, shouting and arguing with her, mentioning the accident and how she left him to die. Jin defends herself and Song leaves. Then Jack enters and asks her why she didn't tell him the truth. He says, "Anyway, leave him alone. He's still not mature. With time, he'll realize he was wrong." Lynn begins her own production alone, and Jack, Young, and John join as her partners, each taking a share in the company. She names her brand Love's Kiss. Lynn, together with a group of senior teachers and experts, produces her first production line. Tina tries to make a contract with a famous YouTuber to advertise their product. The YouTuber thinks well of Lynn and tells Tina she'll think about it and come at the appointed time. On the day of the broadcast, they're waiting for her, but Lynn discovers that she signed a contract with Song and went to him instead. So Lynn has to open the broadcast herself, just like she did with Song before. That night, she's sitting depressed because the broadcast didn't achieve the same success as Song's broadcast. But Young comes and comforts her because he studied management and knows the statistics well, and the return is appropriate for the number of viewers. They continue to celebrate and drink together until Tina takes advantage of the situation. She asks Young, "So you really love me?" He angrily replies, "Isn't it obvious that I'm falling for you and following you around?" Tina loves this and becomes very happy. The next day, Tina prepares breakfast for Young, who's afraid she might be angry with him because of what happened. But he finds her accepting the matter and that she also has feelings for him. So he proposes marriage and finally settles down. At this time, Jack is with John doing his examination. John reassures him that he's now a normal person, and if he continues his relationship with Lynn, he can live his life normally as if he doesn't have any illness. But Jack feels regret because Lynn doesn't know the truth. Young enters and informs them of his decision to marry Tina, which shocks them. It's shocking because it's not in Young's nature to settle down, and he's known to be a player. But Young tells them that love changes a lot. The next day at the office, Tina says that the YouTuber canceled her contract with Song. Lynn is refusing because she doesn't like dealing with liars who have written about her and deceived her. Jack and John feel like their hearts will stop because of her words. Jack thinks he should confess to Lynn, but John and Young don't agree. News appears that Dong, Jack's uncle, has sold his shares to a foreign investor and removed all their hands, and now the company is in a very critical situation, and their shares have become cheap in the market. So Lynn needs to be stronger and spread in the market to support Jack because they are also partners in this company. She decides to enter the international competition so that when she wins, she can help Jack. Indeed, she enters the competition and takes first place. They have a simple celebration, and Lynn decides to propose to Jack because she knows he's going through a bad situation, and maybe that's why he postponed his decision. She tells him that she won and will soon be one of the richest beverage traders in China. Therefore, she wants to continue supporting him and taking care of him for the rest of her life. But Jack refuses, and Lynn throws the box into the sea and runs away crying. Tina doesn't understand what's happening, so she shakes Young and they run after her. They learn that Jack wants to marry her, but there's something he can't tell her that's holding him back and making him hesitant. When Lynn reaches the house, she finds him asleep and Sinan sitting downstairs. Lynn thanks her, but Sinan speaks coldly and says, "Thank you because you're valuable to me this night when I found out you proposed to him and he rejected you." Lynn tells her, "Thank you for your trouble. I wish you'd leave the house and go." Sinan gets angry and says, "Not only will I leave, but you'll also leave. Because in the end, Jack is in a bad state and will have to marry Nana to save the company." Lynn tells her, "I won the competition and I have a balance of 10 million, and I also have supporters." Sinan mocks her and leaves. Jack wakes up and finds that Lynn has left him a message that she's gone forever. He's shocked and looks for her. He gathers Tina, John, and Young, and Tina argues with him a lot because he couldn't appreciate what Lynn does for him. John tries to find Lynn from her phone signal, and they learn from the device that she went south. Tina tells them she's gone to her grandfather's. John leaves with Jack, and they discover from reviewing the house cameras that Sinan came when he was drunk. She kept bothering Lynn with words and reproaching her that Jack doesn't want to marry her. The next day, Lynn is with her grandfather, and they help each other work on the farm. Song arrives and meets her grandfather. The grandfather leaves them alone, and Song says to her, "So now you'll stop loving Jack and give me a chance, right?" Lynn stares at him hard, so he laughs. He says, okay, don't scare me." At that time, Jack comes and apologizes for being late in coming, but he had something he had to finish. Song gets angry and says to him, "Will you keep hurting her every now and then?" "There's no use for you." Jack tells him, "This is a matter between me and Lynn. Don't interfere." Her grandfather comes and is very happy to see him. He says, "I was wondering why I didn't see you with Lynn." He keeps telling Lynn that Jack is a good person and that she should trust her grandfather. Indeed, Lynn returns with Jack, and he takes her to the conference he's holding. Tina arrives and is very worried about Lynn. They are shocked when they see Jack coming up on stage with Nana in his hand. Lynn runs away. She thinks he's going to propose to Nana and brought her to upset her, but Young stops her and tells them to wait and listen to him first. Jack announces that Nana will continue in the Enda Company with a large percentage, but this is a secondary announcement and the real announcement is coming now. He comes down from the stage and Nana leaves because she thought he would propose to her. She gets off the stage and Jack takes Lynn's hand and takes her up on stage. He proposes to her in front of everyone. The next day, Jack decides to talk to Song and finally tell him the truth. He accepts it and gives him the information of the ambulance man who saved him the day he was going to tell him the truth. Song goes to meet him. The ambulance man tells him that Jack's condition was serious that day and his sister came out and tried to go back to get Song, but the ambulance man prevented her and made her stay with Jack because his situation was dangerous and he was bleeding heavily. Song feels remorse in his heart because he lived 17 years away from his family due to a misunderstanding that blinded him with hatred. Young and Tina are together, and Tina keeps feeling that something isn't right. She keeps pressuring Young until he tells her about Jack's illness and the treatment in Lynn. She gets angry and says, "I knew I was suspicious about this matter." Young tries to make her understand that Jack really loves Lynn, and it has nothing to do with his illness. She believes him. When she finds out that they're going to take wedding photos tomorrow, she changes her mind again. The next day, she goes with Young and Tina to the dress shop to book her dress. Jack has reserved the entire shop for her alone that day. At the same time, Sinan has heard the news and is depressed and drinking a lot. John enters and tries to wake her up and comfort her. She asks him to bring her the food she likes, and of course, John adores Sinan, so he doesn't refuse her request. At that time, Lynn has chosen a very beautiful dress and is coming out to tell Tina and Young, who are very impressed with it. They help her with the photo shoot. John returns from outside and looks for Sinan. He's surprised to find her sitting in the bathtub having cut her wrists, and he's stopping the blood with a towel from the bathroom. He receives a phone call, answers it, and then thinks about saving Sinan. He says to her, "Are you crazy? Why are you doing this for someone who doesn't love you? You also have your dream, and I and your family are all by your side." But Sinan tells him that her family only cares about money. Her dream is gone, and the night of her dreams is gone. John tells her the whole story about the relationship of Lynn's saliva with Jack, and that their meeting was truly destiny, and that they were created for each other. Maybe she has a bit of the red blood of which we've only seen 2 drops. At the same time, Jack has gone to Song to invite him to his wedding. He prevents him from traveling to France again. Song learns the truth about his illness and Lynn's relationship with his treatment, but he really loves her. Song is shocked and feels guilty because of his negative attitude towards his siblings and his hatred for them without reason. Jack asks him to stay and take over the company after him because he can't guarantee his life. He also informs him that he has reopened the case of his father's and mother's death and discovered that their Uncle Dong was the cause of everything to eliminate the entire family and take the company for himself, and that he has presented all the evidence to the police. Song tells him, "Let's not tell Lynn about this matter now until everything is over. She doesn't need more shocks. What she went through since our father and mother is enough." It seems that Song has reconciled with Jin and finally returned to them. Sinan, the chameleon who has only 2 drops of blood that came out when she hurt herself, goes and has already told Lynn everything. She told her, truly, the foolish one is the one who lives happily and leaves before Jack and the others come. Lynn continues to take wedding photos with Jack, but all the time she's distracted and upset. She asks Tina to go because she doesn't feel well. She goes and keeps remembering the first time she gave him CPR as if he returned to life again, and how in the hospital when he woke up, he took a raisin from her and wanted to make a contract with her about this matter. She wanted to confirm her suspicion. She went to the hospital and entered John's room to search it and found a plan with almost everything that happened. She remembers Sinan's words when she told her, "You are just a treatment for him, nothing more." She's devastated and can't believe that someone could exploit her love in this way. Days pass, and the engagement day comes. Everyone is happy and taking pictures with her, but Lynn remains lost and not understanding herself. Nana also comes to congratulate them. When John arrives, he greets them and takes Jack by the hand and tells him that Lynn knows everything. This puts Jack in shock and confusion. Nana goes to talk to them, but Lynn comes to them and says, "What are you saying?" Jack says to her, "There are no memories of our childhood." She smiles a little and says, "Right, there are many secrets I don't know." Jack gets tense and says to her, "What's wrong with you, Lynn? Since the day of the photo shoot, you've been constantly lost and not in the mood." She says to him, "I'll ask you a question, and I hope you answer me honestly." But Song interrupts as he arrives and congratulates them. Lynn doesn't care and asks Jack, "Have you ever lied to me?" He pauses a bit and says, "No." She says to him, "I'll ask you one last time. Have you ever lied to me?" He gets tense and says, "No." Lynn walks away and goes to break the pictures. She runs and leaves the engagement while everyone stands in shock. Of course, Sinan the chameleon stands happy. John and Jack tell her to consider herself as if she was never in their lives a day. Jack thanks her because he really wouldn't have been able to continue his life with Lynn based on a lie, and she helped him say what he couldn't say. He leaves her, and they go. Tina goes after her and understands everything, that Jack really loves her. Young sends Jack a contract to terminate the partnership, but Jack says, "Take your time and calm down. I don't want to separate from you. I have a message I wrote a while ago, but I didn't have the courage to send it to you." When Lynn reaches home, she sees the message that Jack was talking about. In it, he tells her about everything, and that the matter at first was with him because of saving his life. But with time, he really began to love her, and she became his real treatment. It was his love for her, But the closer their relationship got, the harder it became for him to confess to her. At that time, Jack arrives and keeps knocking on her door and asks her to let him in. When he enters, he tries to reconcile with her forcibly, but she gets angry with him and slaps him. Then he gives her the contract that he wanted to make with her at first, which is that every day she gives him a raisin in return for him fulfilling the conditions she wants. She leaves him saying, "Do you think I'm that cheap?" and kicks him out of her house. Lynn keeps looking for another partner other than Jack, but she finds only one person who asks her to try to produce a new drink with an inspiring love story. Tina learns about this and says to her, "He's right. The company was basically built on you and Jack, and in my opinion, you should go back to him or at least try to save him because he's not well at all." So she decides to go back to him but on her terms, and they cooperate to export the new drink together because the first drink's story and production were due to their relationship. But deep inside, she's doing all this to save his life because she still loves him. In the hospital, the entire medical team holds a meeting and explains to Lynn Jack's condition and solution exactly, and that the operation is not guaranteed. Jack refuses to have anyone with him so that if it doesn't succeed, no one will be hurt. The head of department knows that without her, Jack would have been dead, but his body's no longer able to recover with her saliva again. Lynn breaks down, but Jin holds her hand and tries to calm her. She learns that she's thankful that Jack was able to live another half year with them, love for the first time, and be happy among them. Lynn gets up and tells them that she won't give up and will put hope on him returning and being well. She'll spend the remaining time with him in China before he travels. Indeed, she spends all the time with Jack and comes to him every day in the hospital. They laugh, talk, and make more memories. One day, Lynn arrives but doesn't find Jack. She finds he left her a message informing her that he left but will try to come back again, especially for her. He tells her she was able to change him for the better and make him a better person who cares about those around him, people who are suffering and the poor. He keeps talking about their memories and that her heart is like crystal, pure. When he told her he wanted to take his first love to the place they were in, he was really with his first love that day, because she is his first and last love. She loves him and keeps imagining him beside her and remembering his words. She's very devastated. When she gets up, she faints and falls to the ground. Young and Tina run to her and take her to the hospital. Song arrives and they learn from John that her condition has nothing to do with a physical illness. It's the beginning of depression, and if it develops, it will reach the stage of hallucination and successive fainting and may lead to suicide. Lynn keeps going to the places they were together. Days pass with no news about Jack, and she tries to pressure herself in work and develops herself until she's able to announce a new product titled Hope in the Future. But while she's at the conference, she faints. She's taken to the hospital again, and they leave her to rest. When Tina returns to check on her, she doesn't find her. Lynn at that time has gone to the place where she left Jack before. She's about to leave when she sees Jack in front of her. She thinks she's hallucinating, but when she faints, Jack runs to her. The series ends like this, and no one knows whether he really returned or hallucinations completely took over Lynn.